good old hockey game is the best game you can name.
And the good old hockey game
It is the best game you
Don't
can name. You don't look.
Why is it so cold
The coffee?
and watery? Taste that.
Water.
Was there coffee in it when you made it?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's cold because you didn't get it when I told you to get it. Look at me.
Or a game cafe?
You got some fluffs on your brim. Don't want to look silly. Do you know what I've had stuck in my head all day? It's Nick and Mike's top 100
I know,
games.
that always...
Does anybody care what they have to say? I know I don't.
What does one have to do to get Matthew Jude to
Write you a song.
write you a song?
I'd love that. You getting candy?
Yes.
Yeah, bring me some.
You want sweetest fish?
Sweet fish. Sure.
Or Starburst? Or peaches?
Starburst.
Who puts the...
I did it.
Just one or two?
Two. One. Just one, he says. Great game. Not enough candy. Hello everyone and welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
Board games.
and
Board gamey things.
exactly. The time has come. A new year. A new
Stamford, Connecticut. Stamford, Connecticut.
I almost wore my Dunder Mifflin sweater, but then I didn't. We're here today to do our top 50 games of all time from 50 to 41. That's it. We did it last year. We're going to do it this year. There's been a lot of changes since last year. My list looks very different.
Why I think this is so cool.
So cool.
Not just for us, but like everyone that gets to see this transition is like, we are just still getting into the hobby.
Yeah.
Deeper and deeper into the hobby.
Deeper and deeper.
So like I feel like these top 50s every year are going to like
totally
change, but there's going to be some consistency, and that I think gets more and more refined as we go.
So we're going to be doing our top 50 over the next 3 weeks. We'll have 2 videos of it this week, 2 videos next week, and then 1 finally the following week. I think the 23rd is our final one. A few things. First thing, we had to leave the heater on. If you can hear it, I'm sorry, but it's winter in Canada and we're freezing.
It's cold down here.
It's very cold down here. I've
It's
got a
not
turtleneck
that- it's not
on.
that cold.
There's snow
I have shorts on.
upon
It's
the
not that cold.
ground. Iceland. Not Iceland.
I
An
can't-
Iceland.
I can't look at myself.
Well then, don't.
For all you newcomers, there's a little hat joke we got going on.
Jeff's a hat guy.
I'm a hat guy.
I'd like to just say how we made our list. We both did it in the same way. We put all of the games that we have played into Pub Meeple. There was a ridiculous amount of matchups. It took us hours and hours and hours to do, and I think there was a handful of games that got missed, but they would have fallen somewhere within the middle. I think we ranked close to 500 games. So we use that Pub Meeple, which is a ranking site where you can go on, rank your board games, and then after the Pub Meeple, which I don't know about you, but I just do gut instinct. Like, I do it quickly. I'm like, yep, this one, this one.
Some make me pause, but yeah, generally that's what I'm doing too. Like,
Yeah.
if my gut goes somewhere, then that makes sense.
Yes.
But then when you get down to the nitty gritty, it's like...
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. And then after we got that list, we both tinkered with it.
Yep.
Some might call us tinkers. Tinker teamers.
Like a spoof account?
Exactly. Yeah. Jeffrey, are you ready to get into it? I think we should
Go.
start with a couple that just missed the list. So our 51
sure.
and 52.
This is actually super interesting because they're in the same vein of games from the same publisher, same designer. My 51 is Wayfarers of the South Tigris.
Okay.
That would have cracked my top 50 if I'd played it more. My 52 is Paladins of the West Kingdom.
Interesting.
Those are 2 of my favorites in that series of games.
That didn't make it into your list?
No. Wayfarers, I think this time next year, probably will, depending on Scholars. When Scholars comes out,
Yeah.
and we play that.
Wayfarers was my number 55.
Yeah, so this was one I tinkered.
And Paladins was my number 65.
This was in my top 50. Felt like a little bit of recency bias, so then
There's some recency bias on mine, I think.
I pulled it out.
My number 52 game was Radlands, which...
Do you know what's crazy?
What?
Radlands is my 53.
Here's something I want you to put in the comments. How many crossovers do you think Jeff and I are going to have in this video and overall? I want to know what people think, and I want to see if you're right. Radlands was my number 29 last year, so it's completely fallen off the list.
Was Radlands on mine?
It was Jeff's number 33 last year, so it fell off both of our lists.
We haven't played it.
We just haven't played it enough.
It's very good.
So good. Honestly, with a few more plays, it'd probably sneak right back up there. My number 51 is Loose Caboose. That's probably recency bias. It's so much fun.
It is very good.
When we do the rankings, how I think about it, I think you probably do the same. In optimal conditions, with the right player count, in the right mood, would I rather play this or this?
That's how I do it too.
And Loose Caboose is beating out a lot of stuff, friends, because Loose Caboose is super duper fun. Let's get into our number 50.
My number 50 is a bit of a... It's not necessarily a shock. It's just not typically a game that would show up on this kind of list for me. We've introduced it to a ton of people, and everyone we've introduced it to has absolutely loved it, and that is Fuji Flush.
50! No?
Can we caveat this quickly? One, don't disparage my list. Don't get at me.
Saying it's a shocking thing.
Two, top 50 is still insanely good.
I know.
Get out of here with your sass. My number 50 is Fuji Flush, which is an incredible party-esque card game that we've introduced again to a bunch of people who have then gone and bought their own copies. But Fuji Flush is just such a good time. I've had so many good memories of it, and it deserved its spot.
My number 50 game for this year, forever, whatever, is Scythe. It almost completely slipped off my list. This is one I had to tinker with.
Mm-hmm.
We have played it this year. Actually, we played it a couple of times this year. Scythe is one of those games that I feel like I will always love, but it's just never one that we're like, oh, let's play Scythe. I think it's like we've played it so much that we've moved past it a little bit, but I still love the game. It was number 23 for my list last year, so it's dropped quite a few spaces.
27 spaces.
Well, I'm not going to be able to do that math in my head.
My number 49 is a new to me this year game. Jamie has not played it. I've only played this on BGA. I do own it, but we haven't played it. And that is Space Empires 4X. I'm currently actually in a game right now, and it might be higher than 49 the more I play it. Space Empires is GMT's 4X space game. I absolutely adore it. Multiple paths of kind of like doing your own thing. You can just explore space, you can fight, you can build up your colonies. It's everything I kind of like in games, and I've been pretty transparent that GMT is quickly becoming one of my favorite publishers. Super excited to actually play our physical copy of it.
My number 49 is one that is also new to the list this year, and I do feel like would be higher with more plays, but that is Rococo. So we played Rococo this year for the first time. This is an Eagle Griffin Games game, and we have like the deluxe edition, which I think makes it even better. It's just like this huge, beautiful box with beautiful components. You're like, better?
A little bit.
You're like making different dresses and garments for fancy people who are going to a fancy party, and then you want them to stand next to the window so they can watch fancy fireworks. And I just think it's so unique, and it's super duper fun, and I want to play it more because I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Whoop.
My number 48 is another new to me game this year, and it's also a new to me game very recently. But it absolutely deserves its spot on this list, and it's only going to go up. And once everyone else plays this game, they'll understand why. That game is Planet X. That's not what it is.
I was like, we haven't played that game.
That game is Planet Unknown. Planet Unknown is a tile placement, track manipulation-esque game where you're just trying to get your tiles placed onto your planet in order to maximize your points. So you're scoring rows and columns plus some bonus action cards that you can get.
What's the best part of the game?
It also has a Lazy Susan that Jamie gushes about in the middle that you're selecting. They're basically depots that you can select your tiles from. But we've played it so much in the past 2 weeks. I think it's going to blow up for a lot of people.
You'll be hearing about that.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Much later.
Spoiler.
Number 48 for me was my number 42 last year, and that is Marvel Champions.
Okay, yeah.
So,
your number 2 was Marvel Champions?
No, my number 42 was Marvel Champions.
I was like, what?
It's 48 this year. Marvel Champions is a game that I play solo. Jeff has played it with me maybe once or twice.
I'd like to play it again. It's been a long time.
Yes. So basically this is a game where you build your deck before the game. You don't build it during the game, but you build your deck and then you fight baddies with your your superheroes. I love this game. I want to play it more. It is one that I definitely plan to play more this year, but I think I got it to the table a couple of times in 2022, and it's just like, I love Marvel. I love the mechanics of it. I love that it's challenging because like I don't win when I play it very often, which is fine by me. And I think that it is one that would kind of go back up the list if I played it more.
I don't know where this one was or if it was on the list because I hadn't played this game in a very long time. We played it when we were in Ohio with Kyle. I'm now playing it on BGA again, and I've re-fallen in love with it.
I know exactly what this is.
And that game is Blood Rage.
Okay, wait. This game, Jeff, for you last year.
It was pretty
17.
high. Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of wrote it off. Starting to play it again now on BGA, and we've played, I think, 4 games in the past, like, week, and I've fallen back in love with it. I forgot how much I loved this game, and I was sitting here right before we were filming, and I was like, Blood Rage deserves to be in my top 50, and I found this slot made the most sense. But Blood Rage is one that I'm super excited. I just bought a copy. I went out and bought a copy, because I was like, there's no way I'm not buying this. I'm in love with Blood Rage right now. I'm gushing over it again.
Resolution. 47 for me is another new to us game this year that when I first did this list, it was way, way, way higher. And this was one of the ones that I was just like, I just can't have it. I think it landed at like 13 and I was like, this is not right. And that is Dominant Species from GMT. I have this experience sometimes when I learn a board game before playing it that I immediately love the game. This has happened with Vast. This has happened with Kanban, and this has happened with Dominant Species. And maybe a couple others, but those are the 3 that stand out. So before I even played the game, which, by the way, I had no interest in this game at all, I loved it. And then we played it, and I was like, I love this game. And we've only played it at 2, so I can only assume that as soon as we get to play it with more people, it's just going to go...
Maybe that's one we should play with Matt on Monday.
Yep, let's do it, because I am into this game. This is essentially like everybody plays as a different species, or...
Yep.
Is it species? Yep. Is a dog a different... Yes, species. Dogs are different species than cats. But like mammals...
Can someone clip that?
But like mammals versus reptiles, is that species or is that class?
Reptiles is species.
No, because a crocodile and an alligator are different species than a reptile.
Amphibian, reptile.
They're not species, they might be classes. Do you want to know...
What's arachnids? Because I know arachnids is in the game. Is that a class?
It would be a class. Here's a fun fact, everyone. I have a degree in biology.
Then
and I do not remember this at all.
I'm going to Google it. Is amphibian a species?
Yeah, like, is the species canine? But like...
Yes. Amphibians are small
dogs.
vertebrae that need water or a moist environment to survive. The species in this group include frogs, toads, salamanders, and newts.
Yeah, so the species is the type
Is
of
amphibian
animal.
a class or species? Amphibians are a class. So... Oh my god!
All that money that I put into university, baby.
So it's actually dominant class.
Yeah. Anyways.
We are breaking down walls here.
Science. In this game, everybody plays as a different class. It's basically like an area control type of situation where you are like going through different periods of like Ice Age. There's tundras and stuff going out, and there's event cards, and there's a ton of stuff that happens in this game. It's awesome. It looks very dull, but don't fear, because it's not.
My number 46, the first game from my favorite designer. Who's my favorite designer?
Bouvet.
Bouvet. What game do you think it is?
If it's a Greco, I'm going to scream.
Greco is this far down? You nuts. That is Glass Road.
Oh, Glass Road's fun.
Glass Road is a really good 2-player... I don't think it's 2-player only.
It's not 2-player only.
But it's a very good 2-player Uwe game where ultimately you are, in typical Uwe fashion, producing resources that allow you to produce other resources to score points.
Yeah, but you don't have to feed anybody in this game.
The really cool thing with this is it's got like a turn dial or a...
the resource payment
mechanic in this is very unique and I thought very, very cool. So ultimately you have this little like dial, and the further it goes along, the less resources you have. It's all about juggling this kind of like resource production in order to score the most victory points. I really, really love Uwe. You're going to see a ton of his games on my list.
You're going to see a ton of his games on my list. Glass Road is fun. Jamie
really liked Glass Road, which was shocking to some degree.
I did. You know what? The only Uwe games that I don't like is Agricola and all of its variations.
Caverna.
I never played it. Feast for Odin I haven't really given a fair shot.
That's true.
My number 46 is another new one to us this year, and that is Stardew Valley, the board game.
So good.
So good. Basically, in this game, you're playing out different goals. What is it, Grandpa or Papa?
Grandpa.
Grandpa's goals, and you're trying to do different things. It's a cooperative game, and it's challenging, but like, it was really good because we came so close to winning.
One turn away.
But haven't. It's beautiful. It's cute. It's fun. It's thematic. It's like eye-catching, and it's a game that I think was really surprising for us.
I bought it based on the IP. I mean, I'm going to be fully honest with that. I like Stardew Valley might be my favorite video game.
A lot of the games that fall in this kind of area of the list, more plays would probably boost them up higher.
I agree.
Because they're fighting against some games that have some serious nostalgia attached to them.
My number 45 is a new to us this year game that I want to play way more. And I actually think we should maybe try and play it this weekend. That is Neuroshima Hex.
Neuroshima Hex is great.
Neuroshima Hex is, in my opinion, I know you can play it at higher than 2, but it's a really, really, really good 2-player game. Ultimately, you are playing as a bunch of different asymmetrical factions. They all do different abilities, and they can move around this hexagonal map a little bit differently. They attack a little bit differently. Their objectives are a little bit different. And it's just a really good head-to-head, unique way to do a skirmish-esque game. Some factions might not have a lot of troops out on the map, but your bases are really strong, or it's so good. Another game that I think the gameplay and the mechanics trump the components. But it's so good, and one that we have almost every faction for, if not every faction. I would love to at some point do something on the channel with all of them. Neuroshima Hex, one I fell in love with, and I think is another one that's just going to keep increasing. Yeah.
Okay, my number, what are we on? My number 45 is the first Button Shy game on the list.
Oh boy.
And that is Ugly Griffin Inn. This is a solo game that I love, probably one of my most played solo games of the year, and by probably I mean it's definitely one of my most played solo games of the year. So in Ugly Griffin Inn, you have an inn with all of these different characters, and some of them are staying and some of them are at the tavern, and then you're just kind of like exchanging. So once you go from the tavern, they go up into the inn, but they're sensitive. So some of them are like, ugh, I hate smells. So if you put somebody smelly above them, they're piecing out of the inn. And once you get a certain amount of people that are leaving the inn, then you lose. It is very challenging. That's one thing that I love about a lot of the Button Shy solo games is they're so small, but they're so challenging. And it's one of those games that just makes you, every time you play, you're like, I gotta play it again. I think I can get it this time. So I love Ugly Griffin.
That is a good sign. You solo games way more than I do, but that is a good sign of a co-op game.
Yes.
When you play it, lose, and you're like, let's go ready to get ready. I know what your top Button Shy game is. I just wonder how high on that list it's gonna get. My number 44 was almost a crossover with Jamie. And that is Stardew Valley.
Oh!
Stardew Valley is everything Jamie...
It's a crossover, it's just not a true crossover.
Yeah, that's a good designation to make.
Yeah.
So that's one.
That's one.
Stardew Valley is everything Jamie just mentioned. It's beautiful, somewhat challenging enough to keep you coming back for more. The things in the game change all the time with the objectives, like different things come up on the map. I love that IP. I'm not a co-op lover, but this game just resonated with me. Caveat that with, like, I prefer to play a co-op game at 2 with just Jamie and I. I just think it works so much better than with just us.
Yep.
We just work good together.
My number 44 was my number 11 last year. And I still don't know if this should be higher. It's Parks. Parks is a game that I love. We haven't played it physically this year, but I played a bunch on BGA, and I still love this game. I think it's fun. We did get to play it with the Nightfall expansion, which I definitely think helped elevate it a little bit, but I don't know. I just think maybe it's just with time, this game has just kind of fallen for me just a little bit, but I still love it. And Parks is a game where you are visiting national parks in America.
It is
you got a little hiker, and you're going beep, bop, boop, and they're collecting resources, and then you're paying resources to take parks, and you've got like different goals that you're trying to fulfill, and you're filling up your canteen, which is going to give you something else special. You're getting gear, you're doing fun things. It's a great game. It's beautiful. I love it. It's a game that I'll probably never get rid of, but it's just one that I maybe don't gravitate towards as much as I used to.
My number 43 is another new to us game this year. We've played it both physically and on BGA. That is Obsession. Obsession is what kind of mechanic is it?
Dating, parties, event planning, marriage.
No, like honestly, like what's the mechanic that you would say this game is? It's not worker placement.
Events. It's events. Like you're hosting events. Like that's a mechanic. It's like host an event. You put out a thing, pay your workers, bring guests to the party.
I don't think that's a mechanic though.
Events. Listen, are you asking the world or are you asking a scientist? Because I've already gotten one thing right tonight.
Obsession is a game where you're essentially trying to increase your prestige to become a renowned family, and you do that by hosting events at your estate, and you do that by increasing the types of activities that you can do. And all of those activities fall within certain categories. Like there's sporting events, there's workers' quarters that you can upgrade, garden areas, and like house areas, so you can get like ballrooms. And ultimately, you're trying to attract the Fairchilds, which boosts up your prestige and your renown and all of these things. And that's ultimately what's happening in this game. The thing that I love so much about this is that it just flows so perfectly.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it, and when you look at it first, it's like, holy shoot, this looks like a lot. I'm never going to be able to learn this.
Holy shoot.
But like, it's so smooth. It's one of the smoothest games I've ever played. I absolutely love it. That is Obsession, my number 43.
I'm almost afraid to say this one, because this game was my number 2 game last year. Overboss.
Yeah, that makes sense, though.
I love Overboss.
Yeah.
Do not get me wrong. I love this game. I am so beyond excited for Overboss Duel to come out. I cannot even explain it. Overboss is still one of my comfort games. Like, this is literally a game that when I'm sick, I will grab it and I will play it solo to try and get my mind off of how I'm feeling. I think that we've played it so much that I'm really excited for a new variation of it to come out with Overboss Duel.
You're not saying that you don't love it, but to go from 2 to 43?
43.
Like, that's a steep drop, but I think it's important to note that, like, Overboss was one of our first games when we first started doing content.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think that's fair.
It has a very special place in my heart. It's just... yeah, it's just not number 2 anymore. It was your 43 last year.
That doesn't count.
Is that a crossover?
No.
Okay.
My number 42 is another Uwe game.
Agricola.
It is Hallertau. Another one that Jamie, I also think, enjoyed.
I really did like that one.
Hallertau, I first learned in Ohio from my friend Kyle. It is a really, really, again, unique player board where you're moving your house essentially forward along this track, and you're unlocking the ability to upgrade it to get more resources. There's a really unique resource manipulation track that you can move resources up and down and spend them and move them around.
Uwe loves resources.
I absolutely love Uwe. I'm not going to deny that.
There's literally 2 Uwe games sitting on our table right now.
Yeah, we actually have Applejack and Sagani sitting on the table. I really, really enjoy his aesthetic. I really love his mechanics. Hallertau was one that was new to me this year, and I loved it.
I don't know how I feel about the aesthetics.
I love them.
They're very, like...
I don't even. Jamie,
like basic.
Be careful.
Okay, I'm sorry, but
on
they're
the
like...
line you walk.
You know, there's fancy cafes you can go to, or you could go to Tim Hortons or Starbucks. That's an Uwe game. Comforting.
Starbucks is Uwe?
Yeah, because it's not like The Barn. Okay, The Barn's swank. The Barn is our local coffee shop. My number 42 is another button shy game. It's Food Chain Island. Did you think this was going to be way, way higher?
Yeah.
It probably should be, honestly. I don't know.
I honestly, in my head, I was like, it's in her top 10. It could be.
Food Chain Island is my most played solo game of this year, by far. I love this game because of its simplicity and its cuteness. It's another button shy game, which means it's an 18-card game. And in this game, very simple. You're building out a grid of different animals. Each animal has a number, and each animal needs to eat another animal. It's a food chain, right? So the 7 can eat the 6, 5, 4. The 4 can eat the 3, 2, 1. 10 can eat the 9, 8, 7. See what I'm saying? And every animal has like a special ability. So the 7 eats the 6, then the 7's ability is going to trigger and you'll get to do something special. You're trying to clear out all the animals. The goal is to have 1 card left, which is very, very hard to do.
Have you ever done it?
I've never done 1. I've gotten 2. This is the game that wherever I go, this is the game that will be in my bag because I can play it by myself. I can play it anywhere. I've made Jeff watch me play it.
I've seen her pull this out constantly.
I literally played it on an airport seat. I sat on the airport floor, which I know, ew, gross, whatever. I sat on the floor and I played Food Chain Island on the seat. I love it. It's a fantastic game.
The last one on this list, number 41 for me, is a game that was on my list last year, and that is Innovation.
That was your number 34 last year.
Okay, it's not too bad. 7.
Not too bad.
Innovation is a kind of Civ building game where you are playing out cards, and each card has a bunch of different things that you can do, depending on certain symbols that exist on the card and your neighbor's symbols and what they have. But ultimately, you're playing cards from ages 1 to 10, I believe. And each age, your technologies will increase in power. It's just a really cool mechanic where you have a bunch of stuff in front of you, and sometimes you can action those cards, and sometimes you can't because your neighbor maybe has more symbols of that type that you want to trigger on your board. It's super simple once you know how the game works.
Sounds confusing.
Sounds overly confusing. It's not. Once you get in play a couple hands, it's pretty straightforward. It's super chaotic. It's super random. It can just like turn on its head in an instant.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. We have not played this game as much in person as I would like to. It's primarily on BGA, but it's just so easy to set up on BGA. It's just like...
I hate playing this game on BGA. I like the physical game because I can actually see what I'm doing. Speaking of innovation and being innovative, have you heard about the World Series of Board Gaming? Because it is a super innovative event, and it's also this video's sponsor. The World Series of Board Gaming is an awesome event that allows you to compete in board games. You can show yourself and everyone that you are the very best at your chosen board game. There are 16 different games that you can compete in, and every winner wins a custom World Series of Board Gaming ring, not to mention the big prize is $25,000. Just imagine how innovative you can be with $25,000. Now, if you're not into competition, you can also just go to have fun with your friends because there is a whole open gaming library that is provided by Dice Tower West. If this sounds like something that you're interested in attending, lucky for you, we have all the information in the description below along with 2 referral codes, of course, because Jeff and I are also very competitive. So you can use Foster the Jamie or Foster the Jeff, and then you will allow us to compete amongst each other. Feel free to use the code of whoever you think is the most innovative, and I think we all know who that is. That is the World Series of Board Gaming, and now we are getting back to the video. My last one for this list is a game that is probably one of our most played games of this year. It was introduced to us this year completely by Kismet. Is that the right word? It's like a happy accident. I think Kismet means a happy accident, or maybe it means meant to be.
Kismet. Fate.
Kismet.
Or
exactly. Destiny. Our destiny was
meant
to
to be.
find Boomerang Australia. I love this game. And this is one of the things, I feel like last year there were so many times where I'm like, oh, I can't put a game like this on my top 50, but I don't care. I love this game. This is a very simple, if you can hear something, our dog, okay, fun fact that many people don't know, Huskies trim their own nails.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing because we don't have to do it. But she's literally in there biting her fingernails. Like
it's loud too.
I don't know if you can hear it, but if you do hear it, it's because the dog is trimming her. It's very cute, but it's very loud.
It's distracting.
Anyways, Boomerang Australia is a flip and write game that we discovered this year and we love so much. So simple. You get 7 cards and it's card drafting. So I'll pick a card, Jeff will pick a card. The first card goes face down, then you keep going until you have all the cards. And you're basically trying to fill out a map of Australia with different areas. You're also trying to find pairs of animals and different flowers and like all of these different things. To get the most points. Yep. It is a game that we travel with all the time. This is our current No Bones Day game.
Yep.
Silver Bullet used to be that game. It is now Boomerang Australia.
There's another game that's competing against it though. That's not on this list or not on my list.
That game is Town 66. It was my 56.
I didn't put Town 66 on my top 50, but it has an argument for it.
I love this game, and I feel like I'm going to continue to love this game. So those are our first 10 games of our top 50, number 50 to 41. Are you surprised by this list? Not you. Are you surprised?
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised. There's a lot of new games on this section. Anyways, let us know down below if you played any of these games, what you think, if there's any major surprises for you. I'd love to know. That is all that we have for today. So if you're interested in buying board games like any of the many that we mentioned today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is...
Boardroom Game Cafe.
Yeah, the Boardroom Game Cafe. Okay. That is all we have. If you like what you see,
Please subscribe.
we hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye. Goodbye.
Later days.
I'm thinking top 50 games, and then it's just like Nick
Fun
and
fact.
Mike's top 100
Fun
games.
fact, Nick and Mike are the reason why we're doing this.
Yeah,
They were the first people we ever watched doing board game content.
first people. I thought they were the only ones.
Yep.
Now we know.
Little
there's
fun
more.
fact.
Fun fact. It's a fun game. Are you ready? Okay. Now
Yep.
you also can't look at my list.
I'm not. I have no interest in
Don't
your list.
look at it. Okay.
I feel like she didn't hear me.
You have no interest. Well, right back at you.
Oh. What was the New Year's resolution?
Well, it was to call more games and...
Oh, whatever. We did. There's 2 piles ready to be called. And I will call more.
No,
Love it. So good.
it's not on my list. Okay, that makes
I love
sense.
how you said the barn is swank.
The barn is swank.
The barn.
Yes.
A barn is swank.
It's not a barn, it's the barn.
Okay.